Now it is.
Awesome.
I think. Okay, so we're gonna do a series that we're gonna call blanket abs. You can also do them using a towel. This is a yoga blanket. I have it folded in fourths already, folded once the long way and then in half. And I would take this and fold it in half and then in half again. And I often give this as a nice stretch, even just for someone who might be tight in the thoracic spine. So Cody's gonna lay down. Your head and shoulders will come off the blanket, but you want your armpits to be at the upper level of the blanket. So Cody's gonna scoot down just a little bit so you can see right where she's at. And then she's just gonna reach her arms straight out to the sides. And this is really nice. You should feel like your tricep muscle or like the underside of your arm is actually just touching the top of the blanket. And that's gonna be a really good position just as like a rest position. So if you have a desk job or you just have any kind of job that makes you bend forward a lot or look down a lot, or you spend a lot of time on a device or on a phone, this is a really nice way to just lay and breathe for 5 minutes, to open the chest and to just make the spine, or like invite the spine to go in a different direction. Not curled forward, but extended backward. So I invite you to try that sometime. Just lay there over a folded up towel and give your spine a new way to be. But right now, Cody is going to use this blanket as a really nice tool to sort of feel a deeper connection to her abdominals. So she's gonna bring her feet hip distance apart. I like to think of that as like 4 to 6 inches apart. And her knees are also gonna be that far apart. And then she's gonna take her hands and just interlace her fingers and put them behind her head. And she's gonna take 3 deep breaths just to get started. Just breathing in and feeling that extension in her spine, and exhaling and just feeling an emptying of that inhalation. And 2 more times. And her next inhalation is going to be a preparation for movement. And as she exhales, she's just going to think about lengthening through the top of her head and curling forward just past that point where her ribs come in line with her pelvis, and she feels like her shoulders curl up away from the floor and maybe even away from the blanket. And then she's going to inhale her way back, sort of slowly moving into extension, and exhale, slowly moving into flexion. And inhaling back, and you can see that these are really effective because she's already shaking. And inhaling back and exhaling forward. And I will always invite you to feel that integration of your breathing and your movement. And she's gonna do 2 more to make 7. You'll notice that she's keeping her pelvis really still. So you want to try to keep your pelvis stable. If you need to favor a little more curl in the pelvis, like a little more tuck, that's totally fine, but try to keep it still there. And then she's going to inhale back, and I'm just going to add a lift of her bent knee. I'm going to give her a breath here because that's really intense. I'm going to give you a breath too at home. Or maybe 2. And then she's gonna lift her right leg to tabletop and set the leg down as she goes back. And then she's gonna alternate to the left leg and set the leg down as she goes back. I invite you to stay with this variation if you're just trying to get stronger in your core. If you'd like this 7 or 10 minutes to really give you an abdominal burn. You can also bring your right elbow to your right knee as it lifts, so same side. So go the other way. Yeah, like that, and then back. Oh my God, did you hear that? And then your left elbow to your left knee, right? So just same side elbow to same side knee. And she's gonna do 2 more on each side. Yes. And so there's a little bit of side bend in that variation, right? This is a much harder variation. So you can also just stay with the ab curl and just the leg movement without trying to make connections between the upper and lower body. But this is a really deep oblique variation. And then left. And then she's just gonna open. That was 5 sets, and you and she are gonna take a break. Because whether you are connecting your elbow to your knee or just lifting the leg to tabletop, it's meaningful. Right? You're gonna be like, oh, I have abs, awesome. And we are going to do yet another variation in this series. So she's gonna take a breath in. And with her exhale, she's going to curl up and lift her left leg into tabletop and bring her right elbow to her left knee. So she's going to do the crisscross or the across the body variation. And then inhale, open, and exhale. When you take your breath in and extend, really let go at the end and then come back into the work. Try not to hold on to a bracing, but try to lengthen and stretch and connect and curl. You'll get a lot more out of that practice. Two more sets. And you may not find contact between your elbow and your knee, but even just trying to bring across is enough. And here, just open and go ahead and outstretch your arms and your legs and just give yourself an abdominal stretch, and maybe come back to that T position with your arms and see if you feel any more open than you felt just when you started this series. And then let's bend the knees and let's lift the hips and slide the blanket so that it's under a blanket or a towel, so it's under your pelvis. Yeah. And you want the blanket to support the tail a lot. You're not necessarily trying to be super neutral anymore. Your hip bones can even fall back just a little bit. And your arms are just going to reach outside the towel or the blanket with the palms down. And you're going to take a breath in here. And you're going to exhale and lift the right leg to tabletop. And inhale there. And exhale, lift the left leg to tabletop. And here you're just going to take a breath in. And you're going to exhale and you're going to draw the low back down towards the floor a little bit more. And let yourself have a little more length in the back of your lumbar spine, right? And a little more curl in the pelvis. So you're out of neutral. And you're going to inhale here, and you're going to exhale and keep that connection to those abdominals drawing in as you lower your right toe and tap the floor. And then inhale up and exhale the left toe. And 4 more sets. And the left toe. And the work here is in keeping the spine and pelvis stable while you feel the thigh bone move in the hip socket. Right, so sometimes it's nice to even close your eyes and visualize that ball and socket joint, and that's where you're moving from. You can stay with that variation, or you can start to extend your right leg straight out and pull it back in, breathing in, and exhale, extend the left leg straight out and pull it back in. And extending. It gets harder to stabilize the spine as you lengthen the leg because the leg's heavier when it's long. It loads the spine more. So if you need to stay with the toe tap bent knee variation, please do, and just continue with Cody and do 10 sets of that variation and work on feeling your abdominals. This will add some awareness of the thigh muscles working and the hip flexors working. And she's going to do one more set on each side. And then she's going to press the inner thigh line together from the knees to the ankle and just take her hands to her knees and give them a little hug for a minute. Just pulling the knees into the chest and feeling that low back even sink deeper. And a rock from side to side feels super amazing. And we're going to do one more pair of variations here that involve both legs. So the hands come back just outside the blanket or towel, the knees to tabletop, a nice big breath in to prepare. And with an exhale, she's just going to lower both legs to the toe tap. It's much harder to keep the pelvis stable when you lower both legs than just when you lower one. And 4. And I invite you to move as slow and controlled as she is. Especially if you're doing this at home, it's just such a nice opportunity to go deep and pay attention and be mindful and aware. You can do 5 more of the toe tap variation or extend your legs straight out. The lower your legs go, the harder this is. So if you want to try to straighten your legs, but you know going low is just not in your cards today, try taking the legs on a higher diagonal. Even straight up to the ceiling. Can you show them that? Just straight up. Even that is an awesome variation and a really nice hamstring stretch. And one more. Good, and then open the thighs, but keep the feet together and hug the knees towards the armpits. And rock from side to side. And we'll finish our blanket abdominals there for